In this video, I get to drive an icon from my childhood. It is the Subaru SVX, the car that looks like a concept car, but they just decided to build it. And it was a disaster. So the Subaru SVX, or to give it its full Japanese market name, the Alcyone SVX, was launched, well, it was first seen in 1989 as a concept and into production in 1991. And the Alcyone comes from the Galaxy, or is it a Galaxy? Star cluster of Pleiades, and Alcyone is the biggest star, so that is the badge of Subaru. So a fitting name, but to simplify things, just called the SVX. The previous Alcyone was the XT, which had a turbo 4. This has something a bit different, but really we've got to talk about the styling. It is the work of Giuseppe Giugiaro at Ital Design, and you already know he's one of my favorite designers. We've got this proper concept car look of the drop down glass. Unfortunately the air conditioning is not working, so I'm having to go for ventilation mode, folks, but it's just such a striking design. And if you look at that 1989 concept, it just looks like this. There are a few detail changes, but otherwise it looks very similar to the eventual production car. And under the bonnet we find the 4-cam 24 valve 3300cc horizontal 6. This is a flat 6 engine derived from the flat 4 engines of the time. It must be an interesting car to work on, but it was Subaru's first flat 6 engine. They developed another version later on for the Tribeca SUV, if that's how you pronounce it. A very sizable lump. So it has 227 brake horsepower, which is a useful amount of grunt, although as you'll see it doesn't necessarily get to play with all of it, because as we move inside we see automatic gearbox, and that is the only choice. It was compulsory 4-speed automatic. But let's head in and have a closer look. Oh, I have to drop myself down quite considerably to get in, but I love the look of the interior. It's very, very stylish. And nice clear dials, very, very Subaru up ahead. Sadly the rev counter not functioning. Indicators left. Very, very busy wiper stalk because it's got front and rear wipers. We've got digital climate control, and that's the displayed temperature, and you push it up and down. Sadly non-functioning. But behind here, ta-da! Oh, that's an interesting noise. We find a Subaru branded stereo, very of its time. That looks like the original item. Auto reverse. There is a dash, a glove box of reasonable size. So 4 electric windows because the rears drop down as well, although they only drop that far. And I suppose you're going to want to see what the rear legroom's like. The answer is tight. Oh, squeeze myself in. Oh, sorry. In we come. What doesn't help is I have to squeeze myself past this. It just bends out of the way. It doesn't seem to rotate any. So yeah, it's a bit claustrophobic here. My head is actually on the roof because of the electric roof. It does rob headroom, and my knees are having to straddle the seat in front. Can I get out now? It's not very comfy. Oh, I see. You can bend it down manually like that. There we go. That makes life easier. There we go. And got economy mode. I don't think we'll be bothering with economy mode. What does it actually sound like? Ooh, I think I can get on board with that noise. Rev counter sadly doesn't work, so I can't tell how many revs I'm giving it. But if I just bring you across a bit more that way, we can do the important business of the wiper test. There! Don't do it with the sunroof open, folks. Good overlap, no triangle of doom here. And you see that slightly eccentric motion which has left screen wash all over the screen? That's because when the wipers are in use, they sit slightly higher up. And that's a theme shared very much with the Montego. And then when you turn them off again, they do a jiggity sweep and park further off the screen. That's quite good. See if I can rotate you around to look at the rear wiper. Just about. Sadly the wash doesn't work on the back, but I can give you a bit of a demo. There's an intermittent and a full-on mode, and good coverage. So I think that's really rather good. But enough playing with wipers, we probably want to play a bit more with the car itself. Let's just give you the best possible angle. So there's going to be a bit of wind noise because it is quite hot. So here we go. I can just put my foot down there because it just hooks and goes because of the four-wheel drive. That very slight bit of slip, at which point it sends more power to the front. Yeah, four-wheel drive works really, really well. But really, I think more than out-and-out performance, this is about comfortable cruising. And I think that's something the car does very well indeed. It's lovely, comfortable seats. It all feels a bit hard, but I think that's very Subaru. The steering wheel feels hard. It really does feel like an Impreza, just a bit more grown up. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, I really like it. It just feels so planted and just gathers speed very, very nicely. In fact, I'm going to do the windows up. And we'll shut the sunroof as well, because otherwise it buffets like crazy. And we'll launch from here. Oh, yeah, that gets a bit naughty very, very quickly. It does gather pace very nicely. Probably excels slightly what I expected. Road reviews at the time, road testers, were always critical of the gearbox. They didn't want an automatic, they wanted a full manual. But the Japanese are very good at automatics. They even fitted one to the Honda NSX supercar, albeit that one actually is quite a bit rubbish, and they had to detune the engine. But yeah, the Japanese do good automatic gearboxes. They tend to be where you want them to be. And if you're chucking it down a twisty B road, I get it. It's annoying to have to go like this and have a bit more manual control. There's even a button for manual. I wonder if that completely locks it in the gear. But yeah, I think it works really, really well. It's very, very smooth gearbox. There's some of the changes, you can barely feel them at all. Oh yeah, that does get a shift on nicely. So while it looks like a concept car and looks a lot like the original concept car that came out, it is a very well engineered car actually. And I think, to be honest, most people would be perfectly happy with the automatic gearbox. You can fit later manual gearboxes, and in fact if you own a Subaru SVX, I believe that is your Princess Anne moment. Oh look, there's another flat six. Well, you got your bonnet open, mate, or your front luggage cover. So yeah, Porsche, pretty much the only company other than Chevrolet having a brief dalliance to go the flat six route. Which is a shame. I think flat sixes make a lovely noise. Oh yeah, when you start leaning on it, you do kind of feel the heft of the vehicle. There's no getting away. This is a big car. You are quite a long way away from me. Let's just come to a stop, which we can do because there is no traffic whatsoever. And we'll do a quick start. Wait! Ooh, yes, I have to release the pedal there before things get very, very naughty indeed. That is nice. That is actually nice. I'm sorry, I meant to be power less is more, but it's interesting that at a time of huge turbos and huge turbo power, slow down for the pedestrians a bit, Subaru went the naturally aspirated route, even though it had huge experience of turbocharging. So I find that one quite intriguing. But I think the benefit is snappier throttle response, no turbo lag at all. You put your foot down and it goes, even though you've got an automatic gearbox. Let's just try and demo it. We'll slow down to 60 kilometers an hour, put my foot down, instant response. That is very nice. Unfortunately, in commercial terms, as I hinted at the beginning, this car was an absolute disaster. They sold about 24,000 units over a production span of about 5 years. So it just didn't sell. They had hugely high hopes of selling it in America. And I can kind of see why. Compulsory automatic, fine distance machine, with a bit of fun if you want to give that pedal a shove. But for some reason, Americans weren't over convinced, and nor was anyone else. They sold a few thousand examples in Europe, a couple of thousand right-hand drive for the home market, Australia and the UK. But yeah, mostly people didn't want them, and that's a crying shame. Yeah, I just like the feel of this ever so much. This ticks a lot of my boxes. It's even got some slightly interesting windscreen wipers. I should probably test them at speed to make sure there are no problems there. There we go. Pretty good, I think. Pull towards for mist. Oh no, that's a really bad mist. Oh, now we've got... Oh, yeah, that jerky mechanism is a little off-putting, isn't it? I've got some humps over this bridge. What are they like? Oh, it's lines of bricks. And kind of proves the suspension is firm enough to keep it fairly well controlled. It does roll a bit, but it is comfortable. Comfort is what they were aiming at. Yeah, I like this car a great deal. Well, that is a concept car that definitely lived up to my expectations. While I do like to practice the power less is more approach, there is a part of me that wishes I was driving home in that rather than my little Perodua. It's certainly a lot more comfortable and similarly makes some entertaining noises. But I love that they made it. I love that they were brave enough. It's sad that it was a financial disaster for them, really, just selling in pathetic numbers. But of course, yesterday's disaster makes today's superb classic, just like the Citroen SM and the C6 indeed, and other white elephants of our time. I'm very glad they made it, and I hope you've enjoyed watching. Don't forget you can head to the HubNut store if you wish to buy lovely merchandise. Not all of it is Australian Ford themed, and we'll see you in a future video. Farewell. Huh?